Flags is better?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, don't be a story of the game that you're throwing a lot of flags. I'd rather have plays go that aren't called than too many flags that maybe shouldn't be called.
Flags per game maybe comes out, wouldn't probably come out, on top, but still something perhaps to look forward to. We want to dive deep into the game on Sunday night. We started with that. Next, let's go to the injuries here, Sal. What are today's developments?
Well, I think really most notably for me is this Tyler Bass situation, because while obviously Tre'Davious White is a notable name and what's happening there with his injury and now him trending towards maybe being out on Sunday, is super important. The Bills now signing a kicker in Matt Prater to the practice squad, and Tyler Bass not practicing today with a hip/groin injury is very alarming, I think, as far as his availability. So I'm going to be with Sean McDermott tomorrow. He will be on the Extra Point Show with me tomorrow. We'll find out pretty early on what the status is and situation, but at this point, I think that's pretty notable and concerning as far as Tyler Bass is concerned. And then today, no Tre'Davious White. To me, that just is moving towards him not playing on Sunday. We'll see exactly how that winds up shaking out. Good news, though, that Christian Benford was a full participant. And then 2 days in a row, Keon Coleman, limited participant with a groin injury. But, 2 days in a row, both limited. That's usually not anything to be too concerned with at this point.
The Bass thing is really curious, Sal, because, it's been going on all through camp pretty much, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, and then he played in that last preseason game, missed a kick, I think, late, a short one. But still, I think it never felt like it was that alarming. But, despite having a different kicker in here for the earlier part of the preseason. But now here we are. It's, opener week. I just wonder if that's – it seems like that's just maybe getting worse instead of better.
Agreed. I also wonder because – remember, we don't get official injury reports, right? Like we do now in the preseason and camp. But we were always told it was a pelvic injury. It's not listed as pelvis. It's listed as hip/groin. Did something additionally happen? A groin injury, a hip injury. Is it just how they're listing it? The pelvis and the hip and groin are kind of the same thing. I don't know, right? That's something maybe to find out and ask Sean McDermott tomorrow. But I wonder if maybe because he was recovering from one injury, did something else happen and he aggravated it? The other really curious part, and just you guys know, just doing this long enough, you know how these things work, and you know how when certain things happen or don't happen, it kind of puts it on your radar. And the fact for me that they did not sign a kicker, didn't have anybody working for the last 3 weeks, and then suddenly did today and he didn't practice, that's also why I feel like, what's going on here?
So they did bring in 3 kickers last week. You and I talked about that, what that might mean. At least it would be to get a closer look at these guys for down the road. But maybe it's going to be sooner than that. Was Matt Prater one of the 3? He was signed to the practice squad today.
Yeah, Mike, I don't remember for sure the exact names. I think they were, because I remember they were all veterans, and I think they worked out. I think he was one of the guys they worked out that day, and I do remember that all 3 were guys who had kind of had some history in the league.
Pinheiro was one. Remember that?
Yes,
but
that's right.
Prater's 41. He went out last year in week 5 with a torn meniscus and missed the rest of the season kicking, I think, for Arizona. But something to watch with the Ravens also having moved on from Justin Tucker here in this game, could end up with 2 different kickers. No improvement, at least in terms of practice availability for Trey White today, Sal. What are the odds of a guy who misses Wednesday and Thursday for you being on the field Sunday?
Generally very, very, very low. Now, if we were in, let's say, week 10, and this is a veteran who maybe something popped up, you could maybe see that a little bit, but we are not in week 10, and he has missed the last several weeks. This is week 1. It's a long season. So I just think that even lowers it from my perspective. It lowers his chances, which are, hey, long season. You don't want to aggravate anything, right? We're not going to risk anything in week 1, but it could compromise you in week 3 or week 10 or week 18 or the playoffs. And on top of that, this is something he's been dealing with since August 22nd, I believe it was the day, maybe the 21st. That Thursday we were out at practice before the team left Friday for Tampa and the preseason game. So I think right now it's probably trending towards him, not being available to play. I wouldn't be surprised if Sean McDermott does rule him out tomorrow. And if he doesn't, then he might be listed as doubtful on the injury report.
One piece of this, I mean, obviously field goal kicking and extra points, but the new kickoff rules. Like I've said many times since that was announced, like I'd want my coordinator and my kickers working on how to strategically make the most effective kick. And Prater, I mean, I don't know, maybe he's been working on that all off season while he's been hoping for an opportunity to show up somewhere. But like that's another piece of this that I think could be impactful on Sunday.
100%. I mean, listen, I think I talk a little maybe too much about how special teams could be important, right? I'm a little old school that way. I get it. And I think over the last several years, it's probably been, well, it's not as important. But the fact of the matter is these two teams, because the margin could be so thin with how they're going to play this game, and they're both really good, that could really wind up being a difference in this game. And considering what you just said, Bulldog, which is, there's a lot of changes here that are going on with both, the NFL rules and how these teams have approached their special teams. Number one, the Bills have a new special teams coordinator in Chris Tabor. One of the reasons why the Bills have a new special teams coordinator is because the Bills have given up a special teams touchdown in 3 of the last 4 season openers. I'm not saying that's the reason. I mean, like that's a microcosm of what's been happening over the last few years, right? Whereas they have given up some big plays on special teams. It's not just, hey, Tyler Bass is missing some kicks, things like that. I mean, they've given up in 2021 a blocked punt return by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, that was 2 coordinators ago when that happened. But then the last coordinator they had, Matthew Smiley, was in charge when in 2023 they go to the Jets on Monday Night Football in overtime, give up a punt return touchdown. Last year, DJ Dallas in Buffalo, opener, goes back, takes a kickoff return for a touchdown. Just kind of the big picture of what's been happening with special teams. The Bills make a change there, which is notable. Then the Ravens, a lot of accusations against Justin Tucker. He winds up no longer being the kicker for them. They go out and they draft a guy, Tyler Loop. He's a rookie coming into Buffalo, his first ever NFL regular season action on Sunday Night Football. And then on top of it, you have the new kickoff rules that we're talking about and how each team wants to approach everything. So I just think everything is kind of on the table here with special teams.
I'm really curious to see what the difference of the 5 yards is if we get enough touchbacks to make it a more than tiny sample size around the league. Because I think the preseason, to me, said teams want to avoid that. Last year, maybe they didn't really care, 25 to the 30. But I think now that it's the 35, it looked to me in the preseason, and I think you agree, like they did care about that. And, as you're saying, the Bills are kind of challenged here because they haven't had their kicker, and it's a new era for this stuff.
Yeah, and listen, today they also made another move. They signed Sam Franklin to their active roster. And Sam Franklin is a safety. He's not really going to play safety. This is a special teams guy. That's what he does. This is your Saran Neal kind of guy, right? A guy that you just really like for special teams. He worked with Chris Tabor when he was in Carolina. When I asked Sean McDermott about him last week when we talked a little bit about, some of the roster and how it came together, and that's the first thing he said, special teams. This is what this guy does. Now, to me, that's an indication of how important this game could be from that standpoint. It's not uncommon you do something like this to have a special teams guy, but when you're signing a guy to your 53 from your practice squad, and he's just a special teams player, and you're playing in a game like this, that tells me that they're taking it pretty darn seriously, and they need to have him have a role and maybe, make sure that they're a little bit more buttoned up. And by the way, that move came in conjunction with Dwayne Carter actually going on injured reserve. So the answer to the question, who are they going to sign in place of Dwayne Carter, is not Jordan Phillips. It's not Zion Logue. It's Sam Franklin, who's a safety, but actually a special teams player.
Right. Joe Brady spoke today, and I know at one point he kind of talked up Jackson Hawes, the rookie, day 3 rookie the Bills drafted, tight end. When they drafted him, you talked about how he might be Alec Anderson only eligible to catch the ball. Like that might be sort of the role he plays. Do you think as soon as week 1 that we might see that?
100%. I think Jackson Hawes is going to be a part of pretty much every game plan. I can't see him not. Now, maybe some more than others for sure, depending on, team and game plan and what the defense, presents to you. But I think they have big plans for Jackson Hawes to be a big part of what they do. This is exactly. I have not changed my stance. The minute he was drafted, my thought was, okay, now you don't have to have Alec Anderson on the field as your sixth offensive lineman. You literally have a blocking tight end who not only is going to perform that role, but now he doesn't have to report as eligible, and you can send him out on a pass route and he can catch a pass because he's a tight end and that's what he does. And I have not moved off that. I think that's what his role is. Along the way, we've kind of found out that he can catch the ball a little bit, right? Which is, all right, maybe you can use him a little more than you thought in the passing game. So now you can present him as he's the extra offensive lineman, kind of. He's the extra blocker out there. But, oh, by the way, if you just want to put your strong side linebacker on him, he's going to run a little down and out, and we're going to grab 5 yards. I mean, I think that is certainly in the cards here.
Sorry, I'm trying to participate in this conversation, but also trying to see if I can find Jackson Hawes anytime touchdown numbers.
Let's go. It's a battle of the tight ends.
There you go.
Anytime it's the Ravens, who won't have Isaiah Likely, but you look up Charlie Kolar while you're in there, Bulldog. These two teams, they love their tight ends. Didn't Brady call him the best blocking tight end in the draft today?
I believe what he said, and I have to go back and see again. I believe he said the best blocking tight end we've ever evaluated.
Right. That is what he said.
So at least this draft.
Yeah. I do not
listen, I heard that from other people, not just Joe Brady today. Like, I've heard that.
Yeah.
Which is like this guy. In fact, I think Eric Wood relayed a story on the air the other day that Aaron Cromer said the same thing to him. Aaron Cromer said something along the lines, I believe, to Eric Wood that he relayed on the air. I think it was during the preseason broadcast, that Jackson Hawes might be like the best blocking tight end at this point, like this young, that he's ever coached, which is unbelievable praise, actually.
Anytime touchdown.
What a slight. He's not listed. I can't even count. There's so many guys listed.
Is there other?
No other. Reggie Gilliam is the longest odds, along with Patrick Ricard, who's not expected to play in the game, at plus 2,200. Kolar is listed at plus 550.
550. Wow, it's like he's a given to score, Charlie Kolar.
Right, but no Jackson Hawes.
Sal, the Bills in the regular season have not lost at home with Brady as offensive coordinator. They did lose the playoff game to the Chiefs. That's not to be ignored. But the Denver game, which was Ken Dorsey's last, is their last regular season home loss. What an amazing few years. I mean, before that, it's a game in London, which technically is a home game, but really isn't. Before that, it's the Justin Jefferson show. And then before that, it's the Wind game with New England. In four seasons, none last year. So in 4 seasons, they lost to the Steelers and the Colts also that season. But in 3 seasons, they have 2 regular season home losses. One was off the rails, Minnesota. And then Denver, you missed a field goal to win it. Not bad.
No, the
Bills missed a field goal that would have won it. No. Denver
missed a field goal and then got to kick it again.
All right, that's right. Sorry. But still, it came down to the last play. I should have just left it at that.
Yeah, and by the way, do you remember the Minnesota game, too? It was off the rails, but the Bills actually had the ball again, and they went to overtime, right? And
Patrick Peterson interception at the goal line, right?
Yeah, the Bills still had a chance to win that game after all that.
Crazy. Pretty good few years.
Rest of the injury.
I mean, listen, it matters to them. It matters to them playing at home. It really does. It's something they've really focused on. Every team says it. I know that. They have their sayings, defend our dirt, things like that. But it matters to play well at home, because if you can win your home games, it really gives you a chance to, even if you don't, go and win all your road games. If you can defend everything at home, you go on the road and you can play above 500 football. You're in a really, really good spot at the end of the year.
Some bad news and good news on the injury report today. Nothing new that's bad, but still no Trey White. Keon Coleman still listed as limited, but Christian Benford back to full, which is a very good sign for Sunday.
For sure. And I'm still wondering what's going to happen if Tre'Davious White doesn't go. Could that be Dorian Strong? Could that be Jamarcus Ingram? We'll find out. Could it even be Dane Jackson, right? I mean, if they wind up elevating him, he might get elevated just to play a reserve role, right? So I think you have 3 choices there. I'm leaning more towards one of the guys on the active roster right now than Dane Jackson being a part of that. I think you could elevate him to be, someone that you have just in case of emergency and he has to go on the field for you. But I'm thinking it'll be either Dorian Strong or Jamarcus Ingram. And boy, that's really interesting, because if it's Jamarcus Ingram, we've seen him play. In fact, if you guys, I don't know if you remember last year, Jamarcus actually had to play in that opening game against the Cardinals, and he was involved in a very controversial no call at the end of the game. The Cardinals threw a deep ball, and there was some hand fighting, and Cardinals fans believed it was pass interference, and they should have had the ball at the Bills' 10 with a minute left, down 6. There was no call in the play. Jamarcus, it could have gone either way, and he made the play to help break it up. He's a guy that he has a pick 6 from a couple years ago. He's been in the system 4 years. But here comes Dorian Strong. Dorian Strong, a rookie. Bobby Babich said today, very interestingly, got me a little, got my antenna up about, okay, this is a guy they really like and might put in this situation now. Bobby Babich said today, the progress that Dorian Strong has made over the last 2 weeks has been unbelievable. And that just tells me they may be looking to start the youngster 6th-round pick.
You know what, Cardinals? Next time, maybe throw the ball to the wide open Marvin Harrison running deep down the middle instead of complaining about the refs. Can you just try that next year? Yeah. Next time you're back here, try that.
And not that I get the opportunity to correct you very often, Sal, but Ingram's pick 6 was last year in Miami. Week 2.
There you go. Thank you. Oh, was it Thursday night? Was it the Thursday night game?
Thursday night game. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. You got it. I said a couple years ago. That's right. Man, these Miami games, they run together a little bit.
Yeah,
that's right.
A lot of them
primetime player.
Yeah, it was that one. Yeah, and he's had to. I believe. I think this is right. I believe his first real time in the NFL playing on a field was in Miami. Several years ago, and he got pressed into duty, and I'm like, okay, that's when I started going, okay, I think this kid can play a little bit. He's got the length, and they use him a little variety of ways, but we'll see how he gets used on Sunday, if he indeed is used.